Welcome to the Female VC Lab podcast. I have Cameron here. Cameron, in one line, give me your name, your title, and the name of your fund.
I'm Cameron Peake. I'm a partner at Financial Venture Studio.
Wonderful. So, what inspired you to become a venture capitalist or even start a venture studio or become a part of a venture studio?
Oh, wow. So most of my career has been spent leveraging digital channels to transform the financial services ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So early in my career, I helped to launch a wholesale microfinance bank in Indonesia, mobile money in Zimbabwe, other fintechs in the Philippines and Haiti. And then from there, I jumped to be the co-founder and CEO of a SMB neobank called Azlo. And it's pretty crazy for me, the fact that I could open a bank account for a farmer in Zimbabwe within a couple of minutes. But for an entrepreneur in the US, it would take a couple of hours and you'd have to go down to a bank branch. So that juxtaposition was really crazy to me. And so grew the company to about 150 employees, a couple 100,000 users.
That's awesome.
Really, really fun run. I think we helped to, really change how small businesses bank here in the US. And then I stepped back a little over a year ago, spent some time working really closely advising fintech founders at different stages, got a ton of energy from that. And so when I pulled my head up to think about my next move, I was really excited to continue to support fintech founders and do it more broadly, like at a portfolio level, as opposed to just a one-to-one relationship with a company. And so that inspired the move to venture. And then my partner, Ryan, who founded the fund, I've known him for about a decade. We have really similar perspectives in terms of how you can use technology working with early stage founders to transform the financial services ecosystem. And I think that they at the time and we now are just doing a really great job of providing operational expertise to early stage fintech founders. So the big story is I've always been really motivated about how you can use technology to improve financial services. And this is the newest chapter in how I'm doing it.
That's great. So you touched a little bit about your thesis and your kind of how you picked, but you're a venture studio. So tell me a little bit about like your selection and how you decide around your thesis, how you decide which fintechs to work with and which ones not to.
Yeah, so we do pre-seed and seed stage fintech deals, and we take a really broad aperture to what that is. So we have everything from traditional banks or payment companies, what you might, typically associate with fintech, but we also we have one company that provides data services and sees fintech as a major vertical, other companies that are at the Web3, traditional finance nexus. And so it's a really broad aperture to what we focus on. And what we're really looking for are great founders, great teams with really transformative ideas. And then what we do is we'll work really closely with both in a bespoke kind of operational way. So we're in the trenches with our founders for the first kind of 6 months of the deal every other week, helping them work through really sticky or thorny operational problems. So that can be, how do I think about regulation? What sort of vendor stack should I look at? How do I think about go-to-market fraud? All of the sticky, thorny things associated with fintech. And then we also run a program, like a more structured program, where we've looked at some of the most important things to launch a company in fintech. Again, investors, recruiting and hiring, regulators. And we actually bring together both potential partners or experts and also founders to provide case studies. And the goal there is just to provide a really structured program to help our founders launch and grow more quickly in a really complex industry.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Great to hear that. So what are you currently learning or listening to or reading these days?
Ooh, I have a 8-month-old baby and a 3-year-old. So
well, you're reading a lot of baby books, maybe.
Exactly. The short answer is not a ton. The longer answer is I do have more time to listen to podcasts and on what's going on out in the broader world. And that's everything from some of the more well-known ones acquired and thinking about what it takes in the deeper case studies around how to build a company to things that are kind of in left field that may not be quite as relevant to what we're doing. But there's one I've been listening to called a slight change of plans, and it's about people who have gotten others to change their minds or other people's minds. And so I think the psychology around that's super, super cool. Yeah, the reading is unfortunately not at the top of the priority list right now,
maybe baby
for
books.
sure. I'm learning in one way or another.
Podcasts are good, videos are good, right? Yeah, it's what are you learning, listening to, or reading? That kind of encompasses many forms of learning.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So bonus question, everyone gets it. In 2 years, how do you see what you're doing in venture capital having evolved or changed?
I think that we are seeing, it might be a throwaway answer in the financial services kind of fintech space. We are seeing a ton of innovation in the Web3 area. I think a lot of the time we've thought about it as being insular. There's been a lot of people who are really passionate about it, have been really engaged for a long time, but there's more energy and money going to thinking about how you take those same technologies and mainstream them in some way. Whether that's how do I target mainstream audiences, how do I connect in with more traditional infrastructure. So I think in 2 years everyone's gonna be touching Web3 or crypto in some way. We're starting to lay those foundations
100%.
now, and that technology I think is going to be more appropriate and just more accessible to everyone.
That's great. So how do people contact you?
Sure. I am at Cameron at finventurestudio.com. And I'm also active on LinkedIn, just under Cameron Peake.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Cameron Peake from Financial Venture Studios, for being my guest on the Female VC Lab podcast.
Thanks for having me.